last passenger steamer to sail that day from Ardrisig was a trip from Rothsay. It was Glasgow Fair Saturday, and Ardrisig Quay was black with people. There was a marvellously stimulating odour of dulse, herring and shellfish, for everybody carried away in a handkerchief a few samples of these marine products that are now the only seaside souvenirs not made in Germany. The Vital Spark, in ballast, Clydeward bound, lay inside the passenger steamer, ready to start when the latter had got under way, and Parahandy and his mate, meanwhile, sat on the forecastle head of the smartest boat in the trade, watching the frantic efforts of lady excursionists to get their husbands on the steamer before it was too late, and the deliberate efforts of the said husbands to slink away up the village again just for one more drink. Wildly the steamer hooted from her siren, fiercely clanged her bell, vociferously the captain roared upon his bridge, people aboard yelled eagerly to friends ashore to hurry up, and the people ashore as eagerly demanded to know what all the hurry was about, and where the bleezes was Will. Women loudly defied the purser to let the ship go away without their John, for he had paid his money for his ticket, and though he was only a working man, his money was as good as anybody else's. And John, on the quay, with his hat thrust back on his head, his thumbs in the armholes of his waistcoat, and a red handkerchief full of dulse at his feet, gave a display of step dancing that was responsible for a great deal of the congestion of traffic at the shore end of the gangway. Among the crowd who had got on board was a woman with 11 children. She was standing on the paddle box counting them to make sure, 5 attached to the basket that had contained their food for the day, other 4 clinging to her gown, and 1 in her arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4's 8, and 2's 10, and then there's wee Teeny wi' her feyther down the cabin. She was quite serene. If she could have seen that the feyther at that moment in the fore saloon singing, "In the good old summer time, in the good old summer time, she'll be your tootsie wootsie in the good old summer time," had no wee Teeny with him, she would have been distracted. As it was, however, the steamer was miles on her way when a frantic woman, with 10 crying children all in a row behind her, and a husband miraculously sobered, made a vain appeal to the cabin to go back to Ardrisig for her lost child. The child was discovered on the quay by the local police 10 minutes after the excursion steamer had started, and just when Parahandy was about to cast off the pawls. She was somewhere about 3 years old, and the only fact that could be extracted from her was that her name was Teeny. There had probably not been a more contented and self-possessed person on Ardrisig Quay that day. She sucked her thumb with an air of positive relish, smiled on the slightest provocation, and showed the utmost willingness to go anywhere with anybody. "Oh, the poor wee crater," said Parahandy sympathetically. "She minds me fearfully of my brother Charlie's twins. I wouldna wonder but she's a twins too. That would be the way the mistake would be made in leaving her. It's such a terrible thing, drink. I'm no going to ask you, Dougie, to do anything you wouldna like, but what would you be saying to us taking the Wayne wares and putting her ashore at Rothsay? Mind you, just if you like yourself. It's your own vessel, you're the skipper of her, and I'm sure I have no objections at all, said Dougie quite heartily, and it was speedily arranged with the police that a telegram should be sent to wake the captain of the excursion steamer at Rothsay, telling him the lost child was following in the steam-lighter the Vital Spark. MacPhail, the engineer, and the tar kept the child in amusement with pocket knives, oil cans, cotton waste, and other maritime toys, while the captain and Dougie went hurriedly up the village for stores for the unexpected passenger. "You'll not need that much," was Dougie's opinion. "She'll fall asleep as soon as it's dark, and no wake up till we put her ashore at Rothsay." But you canna be sure of them at that age," said the captain. "My brother Charlie was marrying a low-country woman, and the twins used to sit up at night and greet in 2 languages, Gaelic and Glasgow, till he had to put plugs in them." "God bless me, plugs," said Dougie, astonished. "Aye, just plugs," said the captain emphatically. "You'll see them often. They're made of caoutchouc with a bone ring on them for screwing them on and off. It's the only thing for stopping them greeting." The adventures of wee Teeny from this stage may be better told as Parahandy told it to me some time afterwards. "To let you ken," he said, "I was feart the Wayne would starve. Nothing in the ship but sea biscuits and salt beef. I went into one shop and got a quart of milk on draught, half a pound of boiled ham, the same as they have at funerals, and a tinny for a good girl. Dougie wasn't slack either. He went into another shop and got threepence worth of sweeties and a jumping jack. It was as nice a thing as ever you saw to see the wee crater sitting on the hatches eating away and drinking with the one hand and laughing like anything at the jumping jack with the other. I never saw the ship cheerier. It was just sublime. If Dougie was here himself, he would tell you. Everything was going first rate, and I was down below washing my face and putting on my other jacket and my watch chain out of respect for the passenger, when Dougie came down in a hurry with a long face on him and says, "She is wanting ta-ta." "Mercy on us, she canna be more ta-ta than she is, unless we throw her over the side," I says to Dougie, but I went up on deck and told her she would be ta-ta in no time, because the ship was logging 6 knots and the wind waves. "Ta-ta," says she, tugging at my whiskers the same as if I was merit on her. Oh, man, she was a nice wee thing, and that good-natured. The best I could do was to make the tar show her the tattoo marks on his legs, and Dougie play the trump. That's the Jew's harp for yous. And when she was tired of that, I carried her up and down the deck, singing Auld Lang Syne, till she was dover and over. She's going to sleep now," I says to Dougie, and we put her in my bunk with her clothes on. She wanted her clothes off, but I said, "Oh, never mind putting them off, Teeny, it's only a habit." Dougie says if he minded right, they always put up a kind of prayer at that age. "Give her a start," I says to Dougie, and he said the 23rd Psalm in Gaelic, but she didn't understand one word of it and went to sleep with a poke of sweeties in her hand. We were off Ardlamont, and MacPhail was keeping the boat banging at it to get to Rothsay before the mother went out of her wits, when I heard a noise down below where Teeny was. I ran down and found her sitting up choking with a sweetie that was a size too large for her. She was black in the face. "Hit her on the back," said Dougie. "Hit her yourself. I wouldn't have hurt her for the world," I says, and Dougie said he wouldn't do it either, but he ran up for the tar that hasn't much feelings, and the tar saved her life. I'm telling you, it was a start. We couldn't trust her below herself after that, so we took her on deck again. In 10 minutes she fell down among MacPhail's engines and nearly spoiled them. She wasn't hurt a bit, but MacPhail's feelings was, for she was wanting the engines to her bed with her. She thought they were a kind of a toy. I keep that up on him yet. "By Jove, this Wayne's no canny," said Dougie, and we took her up on deck again and put up the sail to get as much speed out of the vessel as we could for Rothsay. Dougie played the trump even onto her, and the tar walked in his hands till she was sore laughing at him. After a bit we took our eyes off her for maybe 2 minutes, and when we turned round again, Teeny was falling down into the forecastle. "This is the worst cargo ever we had," I says, taking her up again, no a bit the worse. "If we don't watch her like a hawk all the time, she'll do something desperate before we reach Rothsay. She'll jump over the side or crawl down the funnel, and we'll be black affronted." "I wouldn't say, but you're right," said Dougie. We put her sitting on the hatch with the jumping jack and the tinny for a good girl, and my watch and chain, Dougie's trump, the photograph of the tar's lass, and MacPhail's new carpet slippers to play with, and the 3 of us sat round watching she didn't swallow the watch and chain. When I handed her over to her mother and father on Rothsay Quay, I says to them, "I'm glad I'm no a mother. I would 100 times sooner be a sailor. But it's a nice thing away too. For a week after that we missed her awful," concluded the captain, pensively.